Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all honor and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Bahashem Raha Kodash. Double honors to the elders, the bishops, the apostles. Salakia, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect, starting with the 144,000 governing body of the nation of Yashar Allah, and the men, the women, the children, the true believers in the name of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai. May he have mercy on you in these last days. It's your brother Adnan Allah from the Great Millstone Cleveland Church, coming back at you with another lesson. Lord willing, will be edifying. The name of this lesson is, you must rest in the Lord to obtain everlasting rest. You must rest in the Lord to attain everlasting rest. I'm going to start with Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 1 in the New Living Translation. The Most High's promise of entering his rest still stands. So we ought to tremble with fear that some of you might fail to experience it. When you go into that word rest, in the AI, it says the word rest can refer to different concepts. It can mean to cease activity and relax. You know that don't apply to Israelite man. We can never cease from activity nor relax. Sure, we'll get some downtime, but at the end of the day, we're constantly working, constantly feeding the sheep, if not feeding the spirit. It says to take a break from exertion or to be in a state of sleep or inactivity. Here's the point. It can also refer to something that provides support or a place to lean on or to a remaining portion of something. And then when you go down, it says rest. Cease work or movement in order to relax, refresh oneself, to recover strength. And then I went and I looked up the Bible definition. Biblically, rest encompasses more than just physical inactivity. It signifies a state of ceasing from labor, and finding peace and security in the Most High's provision and presence. It involves a release from the burden of self-effort, particularly in pursuit of salvation, and a trust in the Most High's grace. Ultimately, biblical rest points to a future eternal rest in the Most High's presence, but also invites believers to experience a foretaste of that rest through the faith and surrender in their daily lives. So how you live in your life can show if you're resting in the Lord, because you're going to be working on that permanent rest. You see? Now let me go back to that Hebrews 4. I'm going to be jumping around in this chapter. I'm not going to read the whole chapter. 4:1 again in the New Living Translation. The Most High's promise of entering his rest still stands. So we ought to tremble with fear that some of you might fail to experience it, because some of you are going to get weary. Some of you are not going to hold fast on what you have learned. You're going to become disenchanted. This is why you rest in the Lord. That means your life is dedicated to him, and therefore you won't get weary. You will constantly be tremble with fear. That the point of this is that you're scared that you'll be removed from the truth. That you're worried that you go too many days without reading, too many days without doing a video, too many days without connecting with a brother, too many days of feeding your flesh. You ain't resting in the Lord. You resting in the world. And let me give you a contrary to that. This is Timothy, 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. See, when you're unholy and you're unthankful, you cannot be resting in the Lord. Your lives aren't. You're not getting like the definitions just said. You're not giving yourself the opportunity to foretaste that rest. Cause when you seeking the Lord on whatever level you in or whatever state you're in, whether you're in a low state of mind or you're feeling good, Yahweh Bashim Shai's rest will pull you out of it. It will give you what you need to keep you going, because you're not here to rest. See? Let me get something real quick. Let me get this precept, Salakia. Micah 2:10. Arise ye and depart. So when you arise, you're being lifted up. You're coming into the understanding of this knowledge, this truth, this wisdom. It says, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with the sword destruction. And that's what's happening to the people of America, and it includes you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, because you aren't resting in the Lord. Now, the Hebrew word for rest is manuha. It is H4495, and it says simply resting place, rest, quietness. Let me see what the etymology says. It just says rest. It's okay. That's why I went. Oh, here we go. 1 second. Yeah, I went and looked up the root word, which is nu'a, and it says rest, settle down, remain. To cause the rest, to give rest, make quiet. Quiet from what? The destruction, the noise, the wickedness of this world. And that's true. When you're in these scriptures, when you surround yourself with men who think like you think, you are in rest. When we go to camp, we find rest there. Throughout the week, we catching hit. Oh, but when you do a video, when you get down with the Akim, you do a sit down, you go to class. When you're in the chat group, when you're engaged, you find rest. You may be going through something, and a brother will put something in the chat group that can uplift you. That's comfort. That's that rest. That keeps you going. It says to the primitive root word for rest again is nuah, and again it says to permit, to obtain rest, to be granted rest, to be left, to be placed, obtain space. Yeah, the Lord is going to have to give you that rest, and the way He gives it to you is through these scriptures, man, through this truth. Meanwhile, this is what the world is resting in. I'm going to get to 2 Timothy again, 2 and 3. Sorry, 2 Timothy 3 and 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of themselves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despiser of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High. So all those things is the opposite of what this scripture, with Micah 2 and 10 is telling you. And I'm going to read that again too. It says, arise and depart. Remove yourself spiritually in the mind from America. For this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you. All the things that I just read in 2 Timothy chapter 3 is going to destroy an individual in that mindset. And he ain't getting no rest. There is no comfort when you're living your life like those attributes that I just brought out. But here, when you rest in the Lord, like I'm reading, there's a reward at the end. It says, verse 2, for the good news that the Most High has prepared this rest. And that rest, like when I looked up the definition, let me go back to it. It said, biblically, it says, rest encompasses more than just a physical inactivity. It signifies a state of ceasing from labor and finding peace and security in the Most High's provisions and presence. Secure. Why would you going to need security from if you're resting? Because you're going to need security from Jacob's trouble. You're going to need security from your own mind. If you're not resting in the Lord, then you're plagued by demons. You don't understand what's coming your way. It says it involves a release from the burden of self-effort. So now you put it all into Yahweh Shemashah, particularly in pursuit of salvation and in trust of the Most High's grace. Ultimately, biblical rest points to a future eternal rest in the Most High's presence. See, that's the kingdom of heaven. That's what I'm reading to you. That when he said, I have a place already prepared for you. Right? He says, for this good news that the Most High has prepared this rest and has been announced to us just as it was to them. But it did them no good because they did not share the faith of those who listen to the Most High. For only who believe can enter his rest. You got to believe in the name Yahweh, who is, he exists, and his son Yahweh Shai, who is the peace that's going to get you that rest. Because ultimately, you have to be under the protection of Yahweh Shai in order to avoid the destruction that Yahweh and Yahweh Shai is going to bring to the place that I just said in Micah 2 and 10. When it says, arise ye and depart, this is not your rest. It says, but it did them no good because they didn't share the faith of those who listen to the Most High. For only who can believe, Hebrews 4:3. For only we who believe can enter rest. As for others, the Most High said, in my anger I took an oath, they will never enter my place of rest, even though this rest has already been since he made the world. You see? And that goes back to being the elect. If you ain't of the elect, you won't get that rest that's promised to you. There's everybody yearns for. Even you wicked as Israelites. That's why you think you're doing a good job when you go to church and you making an offer to the wicked ass pastor and you calling on the name of Jesus Christ and you say, I'm saved by the blood of Jesus. Well, if you don't know, to be saved is gonna require you to be of the elect, and you're gonna have to be taken away on a spaceship while America is being burnt up. You see, if you don't have that mindset to hope for something like that, you ain't getting saved and you ain't saved. And you're not in the place of rest or going to the permanent rest. It says, we know it is ready because of the place in the scriptures where it mentions the seventh day. On the seventh day, the Most High rested from all his work. And we know that goes back to Genesis chapter 1. Okay. But in the other passages, the Most High said, they will never enter my place of rest. So the Most High's rest is there for people to enter. But those who first heard this good news failed to enter because they disobeyed the Most High. Now, these are talking about the people in the land of Canaan, because their first rest was we got the promised land of milk and honey. Okay. But what happened? Only two individuals entered into that land. That was Caleb and Joshua. And from there, they represented the elect. Okay. This goes to show you the lack of obedience, especially for you women, okay? And you men who claim to be in this truth. If you're not understanding what this rest really means, and you don't take heed to your walk and how you're living your life, as I read it also encompasses the life that you're living, then you ain't going to enter into the rest. Because your rest is of this world. You haven't fought off the demons that's within you, okay, to get you in that place of comfort. It says, verse 7, so the Most High set another time for entering his rest, and that time is today. The Most High announced this through David much later in the words already quoted. Today, when you hear his voice, don't harden your hearts. Now, if Joshua has succeeded in giving them rest, the Most High would not have spoken about another day of rest to come. Because the real rest is coming when we are delivered, taken away in a chariot, anointed. Well, anointed meaning given crowns to the men who were truly faithful, the 144,000, and then just having a gathering, a family gathering of the elect. The feeling of overcoming, as the scriptures say, the victory will bring that spiritual rest, where we will be with Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, as the scriptures say, is the definition of true spiritual rest said. It says, verse 9, so there is a special rest still waiting for the people of the Most High. Not the whole world. The people of the Most High. That's you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, starting with the elect. It says, for all who have entered into the Most High's rest have rested from their labors, just as the Most High did after creating the world. Verse 11 is the point. So let us do our best to enter in that rest. But if we disobey the Most High, as the people of Israel did, we will fail. So you won't enter into that rest, man. This is Psalms chapter 37 and verse 7. It says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Why is he sending you to wait patiently? Because you're going to go through Jacob's trouble. But if you've been given that gift of understanding this truth, you got the right leadership over you. You're preparing your soul. You understand the scriptures. It says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Suffer. That's what patiently means. Wait and suffer on his arrival. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. And who is the man he's talking about? He's talking about the so-called white man, Esau, Edom. The Lord's going to give us rest from him too. This is why it says, when you rest in the Lord, let me get that definition again. The biblical definitions again. Biblically, rest encompasses more than just physical inactivity. It signifies a state of ceasing from labor. You know, once we're in those chariots, once we begin new bodies and the laws written in our inner parts, yeah, that part of our labor ends. We're not going to be out here teaching his neighbor, okay, the law, statutes, and commandments. It's only going to be for the heathen. That's the only people we're going to be teaching. It says, a state of ceasing from labor and finding peace and security in the Most High's provisions and presence. It involves a release from the burden of self-effort, meaning doing things according to your own understanding. You have given up the worldly way of thinking and you're resting in the Lord, man. It says, particularly in pursuit of salvation and the trust in the Most High's grace. So your grace is your liberty right now. So if you're doing 2 Timothy chapter 3 and all those things, you're not using your grace in the right way. So therefore you're not laboring for rest, and you're not even getting the foreshadowing of the rest now. Back to Psalms 37. It says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. And that one of those wicked devices is going to be the MOTB. So a lot of you who didn't take the opportunity to rest in the Lord, that provision won't come for you now. So therefore, you will take that micro C hip because you didn't have faith in the grace period. You didn't have faith in the fact that the man who the Lord put out here to teach about the MOTB to prepare you, you didn't believe that it was saying what it was. So now, what are you going to do? Okay, when it's time, it won't be no rest for you. Won't be no provision for you. It says, Psalms 37:8, cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, because you don't want to give yourself that impatient feeling. You've been resting in the Lord. You've been relying on him. You've been praying and fasting and calling on the name and repenting. Then you should expect that permanent rest. Only the hopeful elect would do those things, though. Everybody else is going to be in the spirit of 2 Timothy chapter 3. That's just the bottom line. It says, verse 9, for evildoers shall be cut off. So if you're practicing unrighteousness and you didn't take heed to Micah 2:10, when it says this place is not your rest, and you've been making a life here, you plan on being here for the next 15 or 20 years, then you're going to, it says, for evildoers shall be cut off, but those who wait on the Lord, they shall inherit the earth. The earth meaning what? The whole globe, this place where everybody is dwelling at right now. But the righteous shall inherit it. When you inherit something, that means you become ownership of it. And everything under you have dominion over. And it's going to be an order. Started with Yahushua, King David, the 12 and 144,000. And you're going to have rest because you're not going to worry about unrighteousness anymore. You see? This is why we're doing what we do now, to, Lord willing, be a part of that first rest. This is Hebrews. Chapter 10 and verse 36. For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of the Most High, you might receive the promise. And that's that rest, that entering into the kingdom of heaven and putting just being done with Babylon, just the whole way of thinking and all of the unrighteousness that it brings you. It says, you know what? Let me start up, Salakia. Cast not away, therefore, your confidence, which have great recompense of reward. For ye have need of patience, that after ye have done the will of the Most High, you might receive his promise. For yet a little while, and he that will come will not tarry. Meaning Yahushua is definitely coming. He says, verse 38, now the just shall live by faith. What is the faith? The faith of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. The belief that you should fear him. That you understand you're not guaranteed salvation, but you know by doing the best you can do and praying and asking for forgiveness that you have faith that you will be delivered. And you will enter into that place of rest. Because while you're begging and sighing and crying, you're also helping the ministry. You're proving to Yahushua that you're worthy of his Father's kingdom. That's already prepared. I'm going to remember to keep saying that. It says, but this lines right up with Hebrews 4 and 11. He says, now the just shall live by faith, but if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. We are not of them that draw back unto perdition. We don't go back and say, well, you know, this place, I know it's not my rest, but I love it here. I know the Lord is on his way, but you know what? I still want to be a part of Babylon. I want to go back to the ways of the world. Maybe he going to come in my next lifetime. It says, but of them that believe to the saving of their soul. Let me read that again. Hebrews 10:39. But we are not of them that draw back unto perdition, but of them that believe in the saving of the soul. All right. Then we're in with the two more precepts. This is 1 Peter 4:11. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of the Most High. If any man minister, let him do it as the ability which the Most High giveth. That the Most High in all things may be glorified through Yahushua HaMashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Meaning, what we speak and what we say and how we live helps get us that rest. It also means every time you speak, you want to speak the words of Yahweh Bashim Shah to glorify his name. Okay? In these last days, if we're talking about truly finding rest, we need to constantly be uplifting the name Yahweh Bashim Shah, where the rest is, and put away the ways of this world and stop thinking about the things that this world can offer you. Because it really, truth be told, it can't offer you nothing. Nothing is more glorious than the salvation of Yahweh Bashim Shah and that name. And I'm going to end with this. Because he said, this is Isaiah 46:9. Remember the former things of old, for I am Yahweh, and there is none else. I am the Most High, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning. From my ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. See, it's his pleasure to bring the elect into the kingdom for rest, and it was also his pleasure to destroy the wicked. And if you can't understand that, then you got a problem, because he's letting you know the kingdom was declared from the beginning. How do we know this? When he say declaring the end, in order for the end in order for us to receive the kingdom, the end of this aeon, this era, okay, must end. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of that follower. So you must know that in order to enter in that final rest that is everlasting. So Lord willing, this is edifying. We want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders, Salaki, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.